meeting of January 27th, Thursday, to order, Fed and State. First thing on the agenda is bill introductions. I do have one. It's RS 2812, authorizing a bill for Shawnee Indian Cemetery in Shawnee, Kansas. Are there any questions? Not seeing any. Are there any objections? Not seeing any. It is introduced. Can someone shut the doors behind there? Are there any more bill introductions? Senator Hosher, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have RS 2660, remove statute of limitations from civil cases of crimes against children. And I also have, hold on just a second.
Do we have any questions? Any objections? Not seeing any. It's introduced. Do you have another?
Yeah, RS 2458.
Okay.
Back the blue.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Do we have any objections? Not seeing any. It's introduced. Do we have any audience introductions of bills? Not seeing any? Okay. Well, today we got an overview by the Kansas Lottery. Stephen, you want to go ahead?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back in front of you in person for first time in a while. In front of you, you have about 7 pages of information. I will spare you the reading it directly, to quote from chapter and verse, but I will give you the highlights. Net sales for traditional lottery in fiscal year 2021 totaled about $326 million, compared to $275-ish million in 2020. 2020 sales represented the lottery's highest ever, due in large part to a higher national game jackpots such as Mega Millions and Powerball. In January 2021, they both had very high jackpots, and that helped drive a good year. Fiscal year 2020 saw a lack of those high jackpots, and that was one of the reasons why it was a lower year. Instant ticket sales in fiscal year 2021 were to about $218 million, which is an increase of about 17.5% compared to 186 million-ish in fiscal year 2020. There are several factors that came into this. We've emphasized our instant games much more heavily because we have more control over those. So we've been taking a lot of time to try to figure out what games our players like, making sure that our distribution channels are better, that sort of thing. So we've also worked on getting our in-counter dispensers, which are larger retailers, better. And of course, then we have vending machines now, which of course we'll talk about here in a minute. Total combined sales for all draw games, which are the Powerball, Mega Millions type style games, were $107 million in fiscal year 2021 compared to roughly $89 million in fiscal year 2020. That is due in part, of course, to the larger national jackpots, which we just talked about. Through the first 6 months of fiscal year 2022, sales have totaled about $159 million, and we had some really good jackpots in September and October of 2021. In addition, fiscal year 2022 sales have been driven by continuing strong performance of those instant ticket sales, which we just talked about, which are up about 3.6%. So overall, we're doing well in most areas. In fiscal year 2021, the lottery paid out more than $200 million in prizes to lottery players, along with retailer commissions of nearly $19.2 million. Vending machines. In fiscal year 2020, the lottery was finally able to begin implementation of long-awaited ticket vending machine program. To date, the lottery has installed more than 225 lottery vending machines across the state in fiscal year 2020. The machines generated more than $6.4 million in sales, which resulted in $1.7 million transferred to mental health programs, which, as you remember, are a part of the beneficiary of the machine revenues. In fiscal year 2021, sales of the machines increased to $18.7 million as players became more familiar with them and they became more heavily implemented, and $5.5 million was transferred to, again, mental health programs. Through the first 6 months of fiscal year 2022, machine sales have totaled nearly $11.8 million, with almost $3.4 million in transfers to mental health programs. So again, another good year for vending machines. Currently, we have ordered and we have in stock 70 machines, which we have not placed. which were a part of the fiscal year 2021 budget, which we bought using cash on hand. And we have another 70 machines scheduled to be purchased in fiscal year 2022. Those machines are in-house. We have not placed them yet. We're sort of looking at some of the performances of other machines that we have out in the field now, if we need to move from certain retailers to others, and then we'll just adjust as we move along. And there's some programming issues as well. Transfers, which is, of course, everything everybody's interested in. Fiscal year 2021, the lottery's contribution to the state was about $76.5 million. As you can see from the chart on page 2, roughly $42 million went to the State Economic Development Fund, $2.5 million went to the Juvenile Detention Facilities Fund, Correctional Institutions Building Fund almost was $5 million, Problem Gaming and Addictions Fund was $80,000, that's a statutory number. Veterans Programs was $1.26 million. Mental health programs was about $5.5 million, and the state general fund was about $19.7 million. I do want to mention, as I just did, that the veterans did receive $1.2 million last year, and total since 2003, veterans money is about $21 million that the veterans programs have received from the lottery. In addition to transfers, the state collected a little over $1 million in state income taxes withheld from prizes paid to lottery players. Also, through the state setup program, the lottery collected about $347,000. And the casinos, which now are also doing our state setup program, collected almost a little over $3 million from the state setup program. So, which is great for a lot of folks. I do want to talk about our Play On program, which is our lottery player loyalty program and our Second Chance program. We have nearly 368,000 members in our state loyalty Play On program, and they have contributed more than 65 million tickets have been scanned by them into our Players Club program for the ability to gain points. And when they gain points, they can then enter other contests to win cash prizes, they can win trips, they can win vehicles, they can do a number of different things. In March of 2020, we were able to provide a much requested program for our ticket checker system through our Play On program, which allows players to use their mobile device to check whether or not a ticket is a winning ticket or not. Just to double check after they scratch it, they can double check and see whether or not it was a winner. We've doubled, the ticket checker since it launched has checked almost 34 million tickets, and that's in a little over 2 years. A little less than 2 years, sorry. In fiscal year 2022, the Kansas Holiday Millionaire Raffle sold out again. It's a 150,000 ticket number, and the winner was announced live across the state on January 5th, 2022 at noon across all the NBC stations, so that was fun. As always, the lottery offers a number of instant tickets programs, which we've talked about. We launched 49 instant tickets during fiscal year 2021. We continued our sports marketing partnerships, with a number of different organizations, the Chiefs, the Royals, Sporting KC, Kansas City Monarchs, NHRA, Heartland Nationals, NASCAR at Kansas Speedway, and other locations and teams around the state. We also continue to have relationships with the Kansas State Fair, the Country Stampede, and of course Riverfest in Wichita. We also, as you remember, a couple of years ago, made the decision to try and continue our marketing efforts with our in-state partners, namely the universities, KU, K-State, Wichita State, those folks. And that's been a very, very popular thing with our players. The ability to win the chance to go to games, to stay in the suite at games, to get autographed memorabilia. Very popular, and we're very happy to have those relationships with the universities, and they're very happy to have us, I hope. So far in fiscal year 2022, in the instant game category, we continue to outperform fiscal year 2021 with nearly $103 million through the first 6 months. Total draw sales for the first 6 months of fiscal 2021 was $56.2 million. Across all games year to date, sales totaled $159.3 million, which is about $12 million more than the same fiscal year for 2021. In that same time period, the lottery has transferred almost $39.5 million to the state. Cumulatively, since the lottery began 34 years ago, that we've had a net sales of over $6.8 billion, nearly $3.8 billion in prizes won by players. We've created nearly 100 millionaires in the state, More than $398 million have been paid to lottery retailers, and we transferred over $2 billion to the state. Let's talk about our friends in the casino business, our expanded gaming portion of the lottery. As you know, COVID has been very difficult for a number of different businesses throughout the state. Our friends in the casino business have had obviously the same sorts of issues that everyone else has had: closures, restrictions, problems keeping staff in place, that sort of thing. I have to really I have to tell you that their efforts to maintain the safety and welfare of their patrons and their staff have been above and beyond. All four of them, they've really tried very hard to make sure that people are as safe as they can make them, and still operate under the current conditions that they are expected to operate. And they are slowly recovering and getting back into what we would consider a normal frame of revenue stream, but it's been tough for them, as like it has been for a number of different businesses. If you look on page 4, you see the combined casino revenues for fiscal year 2020 and fiscal year 2021. It's about 12% up from this time last year, $374.6 million. And for fiscal year 2022, we're nearly 17% up over fiscal year 2021. Let's see now, total combined revenues, state revenue fund from total casino revenue fund transfers in 2021, state of Kansas, $82.4 million. Cumulatively through all the years that the Expanded Lottery Act has been enacted, we've received $792 million roughly from our casino friends. Problem Gaming and Addictions Fund received $7.5 million last year, almost $72 million since the casinos opened. City and county local governments received $11.2 million last year. They've received over almost $108 million since the casinos opened. And of course, then there are privilege fees, which the casinos had paid originally for the privilege of operating in their collective zones. If you look at how the casinos were doing last year, if you look at Kansas Crossing, our friends down in the southeast portion of the state, in fiscal year 2021, their total gaming facility revenues were almost $34 million. They currently have 563 slot machines and 14 table games, including, and then also amenities, full service restaurant, bar, concert event center, and they also have adjacent to the casino, Hampton Inn and Suites. South Central Gaming Zone, which is of course our friends Kansas Star, they have a nearby hotel. They have currently 1,583 machines along with 42 table games, and their total gaming revenue for fiscal year 2021 was approximately $178 million. Excuse me, that's mine, and I'm not sure who it is. Somebody from Boise, Idaho, which is lovely, because I know no one in Idaho.
They want to sell you insurance or something.
Probably. Talk to me about my extended car warranty, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
exactly.
right.
Moving on to our friends in the Northeast Zone, our friends at Hollywood. They opened in February of 2012. As you remember, they currently have about 1,916 machines, 35 table games, and they have $124 million in revenue in fiscal year 2021. Boot Hill opened in 2009. They currently have 556 slot machines and 14 table games. They have a Hampton Inn and Suites, and they also are adjacent to the United Wireless Arena and Convention Center. Their revenues for fiscal year 2021 were about $43.7 million. So last thing you see on there, racetrack and gaming facilities, we always throw that on there, whether or not we've had any inquiries about reopening any of the tracks. We have not, but that may be more of a question for the Racing and Gaming Commission. So we have not. So with that, that would be my report. Hopefully it was a broad overview of what we're doing at the lottery. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them or get you the answers as you go.
Senator Fiscal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to just acknowledge my session intern, Joanna Marks, Washburn student at Political Science, Washburn. Wave your hand high. And then, Mr. Chairman, Stephan, being that we didn't get to do the Taste of Kansas this year, where we get our little free lottery tickets, can you still bring the committee our 2 scratch-off tickets? We'd appreciate it. Thank you. And then, Mr. Chairman, next question for Stephan is, so those additional machines that you have in the grocery stores. So in Wichita the other day, I was in the customer service line, and the machine sits right there. Well, there's a line of people, standing there to buy tickets. So maybe, and I don't know if it's possible, can you put an additional machine in a location where there's already a machine?
We can. We have a limitation statutorily of 2 machines per location. We do have some locations that do have 2 machines, and as I mentioned earlier, we are sort of reevaluating how our machines are performing at different retailers now that they've been out for longer, whether or not a particular retailer may need 1 machine, may not need any machines. They may not be performing well with the machine that they have, or in the alternative, they may need another machine.
So, well, we need a machine over on Central and Rock Road.
Yes, ma'am.
Dillon's there.
Well, I can tell you that our Director of Sales and Marketing is listening, and I'm sure he's writing that down as we speak.
Okay, and then one last question, Mr. Chairman. So in your numbers of the funding that goes to mental health services and the juvenile justice services, so does that money go to individual groups who apply for it, or does it go in one kitty pot? And then how is it disseminated out to those mental health service groups? Is it a certain amount that goes to each county? How does that work?
Ma'am, you'll have to ask them. That is not, that is, as they say, that is not our department. We earn it and we send it over, and what they do with it or how they distribute it.
So ask them, who's them?
That would be the folks that receive, I'm sure staff can help you find the appropriate groups.
Yeah, I'd like to know that, of
Sure.
the mental health service funding, who disseminates that, and who do I talk to? Okay, Andrew, thank you. And then, Mr. Chairman, and Stephen Darrell.
Stephen Darrell, yeah.
Oh, Stephen, we'll be waiting for our lottery scratch-off tickets.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I will remember that, yes, ma'am.
Senator Longbine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Stephen, you reported that you have 225 machines with another 140 to be deployed at some point.
Yes, sir.
What do you anticipate the max number of machines you'll
That's
have?
probably pretty close to where we're going to be. I think that we're, barring any sort of changes in the law, I think that we're pretty maxed out at that number. We knew going in we were going to sort of piecemeal it together, and like I said, we've done some evaluation now about how the machines are performing at individual locations, but that's going to be pretty close for us.
Senator Reichman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you for this thorough presentation. A lot in here, a lot to digest, and most of it I could see where things are going up, more money and going to different places and whatever. In the second paragraph, you're talking about how the several factors that brought in the popularity and you using your advertisement and so on. I was just wondering if some of this also would be the money that was sent, from the federal governments or whatever. Is there any way was there a spike at one place or another, or is it I just wondered. Thank you.
No, there's really no way to track based on any number of different factors with regard to money that was received from the federal government. What we did find was we thought originally that we were going to be like most other businesses that operate, that we were going to have a lull, particularly in 2020 as everything closed down. What we discovered was that a lot of our retailers were essential businesses, grocery stores, gas stations, and that sort of thing. And to our surprise, and I think to the surprise of a lot of state lotteries, those businesses continually asked us for more and more product because there was not a lot of things out there, I think, for people to do. Restaurants were closed. Movie theaters were closed, sporting events were not going on. So people were looking for interesting things to do, and I think that was one of the things that they started to find us. And we've managed to keep some of that business. Some people have found us interesting, but I can't really figure out a way to track based on federal distributions.
Go ahead.
Just one more question, and this is in a different area. I haven't been on this committee for a while. The transfers of the money of economic development and the judicial, the list goes on down, and if I'm not mistaken, this was set by the state, wasn't it? Tell you what % to go to each one of these, and thank you.
Correct, sir. Yes, that's a statutory construction.
Okay, Senator Longbine?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Stephen, I saw the billboard last night. Looks like Mega Millions is up 400.
400 million-ish, yes, sir.
That's a pretty good number.
Yes, and it'll draw on Friday for those of you who are looking for a ticket between now and then.
Can you remind me of the number of states that participate in Mega Millions and also the number of states in Powerball?
Right now, all the states that, there are only 3 states currently that do not have lotteries. Alaska, Hawaii, I'm sorry, 4. Alaska, Hawaii, Nevada, and I think it's still Mississippi doesn't, or Mississippi or Alabama doesn't. I think it's Alabama doesn't. Everyone else participates in both of those games. Several years ago, the decision was made, there used to be Powerball states, there used to be Mega Million states, and then there was not sales across both of those, there was no cross-selling. So several years ago, the decision was made to try and cross-sell. So now both of those states, all states offer both of those games. And to your point, yes, $400 million is a great jackpot. It's what's interesting. This is just some behind-the-scenes lottery stuff for those of you who might be interested. Back when I started, the lower the jackpot was, the people started purchasing more earnestly draw games at a lower jackpot amount. They would start buying at 100 million, 150 million, but as the jackpots increased, and we ended up some really large jackpots, 400 million, 500 million, 700 million, we had a couple of $1 billion jackpots there a while back. People stopped buying at the lower level and they waited till it got higher. So now instead of buying at 75 or $100 million, they'll start buying at 150 million or 200 million. So it's just an interesting way that people's perceptions of what a worthy jackpot is have changed. The starting jackpot for Powerball is 20 million. I keep trying to remind people that 20 million is a pretty nice chunk of change that might change your life, but they tend to want to wait. So that's the way it works. Yeah, exactly. Taxes and that sort of thing. Sure.
I think. Okay, you all right? Senator Hosher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not really, not a question, but a comment. I think that you'll appreciate this. I helped a lot of people over the past few months with their unemployment, and had one individual in particular who said she lost wages due to COVID because she couldn't go to the boats. But she was very happy she could get her scratch-off ticket.
Well, that's good. Well, that's good. It's interesting. You would think, that gaming is gaming, and it's really not. It really doesn't seem to be the case. I mean, our casino friends, casino players are casino players. Our lottery players are lottery players, and there's some crossover. But I think that even sort of historically, you'd see that those are two distinctly different groups of folks that like to play and have different views of what they're willing to do or spend.
Yes,
So
she switched over. She did not get unemployment, though.
good.
Well, and the one thing I'll say, I go to Quick Trip. I got my own Quick Trip I like to go to, and you have the ones behind the counter, which are a lot. I see people use them, especially like right now, the Chiefs ticket never stays in or whatever. But, with the machines, it gives you a lot more options.
True.
On the scratch offs, on, all the tickets. And there's a machine in the Quick Trip I go, and it's used pretty frequently. Every time I go in, you see someone there, and sometimes they're buying, you can watch them as it comes out, they're buying scratch-off tickets, but they're the scratch-off tickets they can't get at the counter, and so
There's
that extra selection.
It's very interesting to see, yeah, and Quick Trip is one of our bigger retailers that have made the decision to have both in-counter sales and also having the vending machines. Some of our other vendors or some of our other retailers don't want to do that, but they're starting to see what Quick Trip is doing, and they're starting to come around to that idea. And a lot of our retailers who do have one machine, like Dillon's and other grocery stores and that sort of thing, Walmart doesn't have in-lane sales, but Dillon's is an example. They've become very good at directing people to, hey, we can sell you here at the counter, but there's the machine and there's no line, and you don't have to wait for the folks that are buying stamps or money orders or that sort of thing. So they become very adept at doing that. The only complaint we get from customers about our machines is a lot of other states, if you scan and redeem a ticket at the machine, it will give you credit, and then you can just use that to purchase your next ticket, but we don't do that. So that's the only complaint we really get.
Okay. No, I think it's a success, and it looks like you're growing.
Well, it's the machines certainly have made a difference. You know, I have to give credit to our staff who worked very hard during some obviously very interesting times. You know, we have a warehouse staff that works, you know, tirelessly, you know, 5 days a week to get the products out to our folks and shipping, and, you know, our draw officials and everybody in the lottery works very hard to try and make an effort to make, you know, make things better, so.
Well, and we'll probably see you guys back again. We've got the budget coming up.
Sure.
Here in a-
I don't think you get anything too surprising out of the budget. There's really nothing that's, we haven't asked for any, you know, red flag sort of things. So I don't think it'll be any sort of thing, but I know I'm sure we'll be back to talk about sports wagering and iLottery and all the rest of the stuff that you guys have an interest in, so.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Not seeing any.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
With that, that's all I have on the agenda today. I'm planning to work next Monday, just so everybody knows. And, you know, we got, I believe, 3 bills teed up for Monday. So next week's going to be a busier week than this week. We've got a lot of stuff in the committee. So, okay, with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.